Evolution of Sandman. In Spider-Man 3, Flint Marko is introduced not as a monster, but as a man burdened by guilt and desperation. He's a small-time crook with a tragic purpose, trying to provide for his sick daughter, Penny. The film humanizes him from the start, showing that behind the crimes lies a father's love and a man crushed by circumstance. Marko's transformation into the Sandman is one of the most memorable visual sequences in the entire Spider-Man saga. After escaping from prison, he stumbles into a restricted particle physics test site in the middle of the night. Exhausted and wounded, he collapses inside a massive experimental chamber filled with sand and high-frequency molecular dematerialization equipment. As the experiment begins, the machinery hums to life. The sand swirls violently around his body as his molecules are broken down and fused with the surrounding grains. The scene becomes hauntingly poetic. We see his body dissolve into dust, his DNA merging with the sand itself. Moments later, as the storm settles, the grains begin to move with purpose. Slowly, painfully, the sand gathers into the shape of a human hand, trembling as it tries to reform. In complete silence, Marko's new form rises from the sand pit, a towering man made entirely of shifting grains, trying to grasp a locket containing his daughter's picture, only for it to slip through his crumbling fingers. This moment defines Sandman's tragedy. He's no longer human, yet still clings to his humanity. Throughout the film, Marko battles Spider-Man while struggling with guilt over the death of Uncle Ben, a retcon that ties his actions directly to Peter Parker's origin. His powers born from tragedy become both a gift and a curse. Every blow and transformation scene reinforces his duality. A man made of sand, yet weighed down by guilt, heavier than stone. In the end, when he confesses the truth to Peter and dissolves into the wind, Spider-Man 3 presents him not as a villain defeated, but as a man finally forgiven, a spirit scattering into peace. In the spectacular Spider-Man 2008, Flint Marko starts as a petty crook working under the big man, alongside his partner Alex O'Hearn. Every robbery ends the same way. Spider-Man swings in, ruins the job, and leaves Marko humiliated. But his luck changes when Hammerhead offers him a special job. Taken to a hidden lab, Marko is strapped into an experimental machine built by Dr. Otto Octavius. As the device activates, his body breaks apart, skin dissolving into waves of sand. For a moment, he's gone. Then, from the scattered grains, he reforms shaken and terrified. He slams his fists against the glass as Hammerhead calls him Mr. Sandman. Now able to shift his body into living sand, Marko embraces his new identity. Ignoring Hammerhead's orders, he names himself Sandman and begins robbing banks across the city. But his greed soon collides again with Spider-Man. The web-slinger's attacks fail. Punches pass through Sandman's body, and his webs slip off uselessly. Yet in a clever move, Spider-Man lures him into a construction site, where wet cement hardens around Sandman, trapping him like a statue. Later, he joins Dr. Octopus and the Sinister Six in their mission to destroy Spider-Man. Despite his power, he's outmatched and disintegrated when Spider-Man turns Shocker's weapon against him. In his final appearance, Sandman begins to change. During a heist gone wrong, he spares a little girl from bullies and even saves lives when an oil tanker explodes. In that moment, the petty thief becomes something closer to a hero. As the flames engulf him, his body turns to glass, a fragile reflection of a man caught between good intentions and the weight of his own mistakes. In Marvel's Spider-Man 2017, Flint Marko returns as a tragic and complex figure, but this time the story takes a darker turn, with his daughter, Kimia, involved in the consequences of his transformation. The episode begins at Coney Island, where the Horizon crew are hanging out when the fair is suddenly attacked by Sandman. Peter Parker, as Spider-Man, rescues civilians from danger, including a Ferris wheel incident, but a mysterious girl, later revealed to be Kimia, briefly triggers a powerful element called the V-252. Spider-Man is exposed to it for only a short moment, but it hints at future chaos. Meanwhile, Sandman is hunting a little girl who narrowly escapes. Spider-Man manages to temporarily stop him using a makeshift coagulation gun, invented by Gwen, Miles, and Anya from spare fair equipment. Despite this, Flint escapes due to a moment of poor judgment by Flash Thompson, setting the stage for the more personal and emotional arc. The real story unfolds at Hammerhead's lab. Flint's past is revealed. The criminal life he led, manipulated by Hammerhead, created a wedge between him and his daughter. The transformation scene is critical. While Flint executes a heist at the lab, Kimia follows him into the lab, curious and unaware of the danger Flint is exposed to a molecular accident, turning him into Sandman. At the same moment, Kimia herself is affected by the same accident. Unlike previous versions, Flint does not realize that his daughter has also transformed, making the subsequent conflict both tragic and unavoidable. Once transformed, Flint continues to fight Spider-Man seeking revenge and stability, but the tension escalates when it is revealed that Kimia has now aligned herself with Hammerhead's criminal gang. The episode delivers a shocking twist. Flint's own daughter becomes a villain embodying the consequences of his past actions and the life he led. In their final encounter, Kimia kills her father, completing the arc of tragedy for Flint Marko. Spider-Man attempts to intervene, but in the chaos, the V-252 element triggers, turning Peter into Venom and allowing the villains to be defeated, but leaving Kimia as a continuing threat. In Spider-Man No Way Home, Flint Marko makes his long-awaited return to live action, portrayed once again by Thomas Hayden Church, reprising his role from Spider-Man 3. But this time, his story takes a multiversal turn. Marko is pulled from his universe into the Marvel Cinematic Universe by Doctor Strange's spell, one that drags in villains who know Spider-Man's true identity. Unlike some of the others, Sandman isn't immediately hostile. When he first encounters Tom Holland's Spider-Man in the open desert, he actually tries to protect him, mistaking him for Tobey Maguire's Peter Parker, the one he knows and trusts. He rises from the sand in a towering wave, his massive form swirling like a living storm. The visual effects here are breathtaking. Each grain of sand moves with precision, evoking both power and sorrow. He still remembers what happened in his own universe, his redemption, his desire to return to his daughter. But now he's trapped in a strange new world, once again treated as a monster. Throughout the film, Flint shows flashes of humanity. He wants to return home more than anything else, but distrust and confusion drive him to side with the other villains when things spiral out of control. His interactions with Electro, Lizard, and the others show that he's not driven by evil. He's simply lost, desperate to regain control over his life. When Spider-Man and the others work to cure each villain, Sandman's condition is treated as something that can be reversed. In one of the film's quieter moments, the heroes manage to stabilize his molecular state, restoring him to human form. Flint stands once again as a man, exhausted, grateful, and free from the curse that turned him into living sand. Unlike some of the villains, Sandman doesn't seek revenge or destruction. His arc in No Way Home closes the circle begun in 2007. A man who lost everything to science, who carried guilt and grief across universes, finally gets to go home.